What would you think if I told you that everything you have been taught about the male ego is a lie? Women are instructed, from magazines to mainstream psychology, to handle the male ego like a fragile, priceless artifact. You are taught to praise it, to flatter it, to build it up, to never challenge its authority. You are told that a man's ego is the key to his heart, and that by becoming its loyal custodian, you will win his devotion. This is the conventional wisdom, and it is the most dangerous, soul-destroying advice ever given, for it is a recipe for creating a fragile tyrant and reducing you to his emotional servant. The forbidden truth, the one that lies buried deep within the work of Jung and the wisdom of the Stoics, is this. The one thing a man's soul secretly craves from a woman is not for her to build his ego, but for her to be the one force on earth strong enough to annihilate it. Not with cruelty, not with malice, but with the unwavering, unshakable force of her own integrated truth. His ego is not a treasure to be protected. It is a prison he has built for himself, brick by painstaking brick. It is the persona, the mask he wears to survive in the world, the false self that suffocates the real man underneath. And his soul, the part of him that is gasping for air, is not looking for a woman to decorate the walls of his cell. It is looking for a woman who will hand him the key. You become that key not by performing an action, but by embodying a state of being. The secret is to become an immovable object, not a cold, hard wall of aggression, but a mountain of serene self-possession. The average woman is a yielding force. She accommodates, she adapts, she bends her own reality to make space for his. She becomes a mirror for his desires. The man's ego pushes against this, and it feels no resistance. And so it grows larger, more demanding, yet more fragile, like a balloon stretched to its breaking point. It is never challenged, so it is never strengthened. It is merely inflated. But then he meets you, a woman who has done the grueling work of her own individuation, a woman who has built her own inner citadel. As the philosopher Seneca would say, your reality is not negotiable. Your boundaries are not a test. They are the sacred geography of your self-respect. Your no is not a prelude to a negotiation. It is a complete sentence. And when his ego, with its charm, its subtle manipulation, its intellectual posturing, its emotional pressure, pushes against you, it meets something it has never encountered before. It meets a solid, unshakable truth. It meets a woman who is not a mirror, but a source of her own light. The immovable object does not push back. It does not argue. It does not get angry. It simply is. It holds its ground with the quiet, devastating authority of a mountain. This lack of reaction, this refusal to engage in the drama, is the one thing the male ego cannot compute. And it is the beginning of its beautiful, terrifying undoing. The ego, when it meets a force it cannot move, does not retreat. It rages. This is the second stage of its undoing. The initial shock of meeting your serene immovability gives way to a frantic, desperate escalation of its most trusted tactics. Think of it as a master burglar who, having found a door that will not yield to his sophisticated tools, decides to take a sledgehammer to the wall. His charm will intensify, becoming almost suffocatingly effusive. His intellectual arguments will become more complex, more circular, designed not to find truth, but to exhaust you into submission. He will try to bait you into the familiar, swampy territory of emotional drama. He will become the provocateur, subtly jabbing at your perceived insecurities, hoping to elicit a flicker of anger or jealousy, any reaction that proves he can still affect you, that he still matters. When this fails, he will perform his final, most pathetic act. He will become the victim. Your boundaries will be framed as cruelty. Your self-respect will be painted as a selfish withholding of affection. He will subtly, or not so subtly, imply that you are wounding him with your strength. Do you see the insidious nature of this maneuver? He is attempting to weaponize your own compassion against you. He is trying to make you feel guilty for the very qualities that make you whole. This is the ego in its death throes, a cornered animal willing to do anything to re-establish its dominance. And what is your role in this escalating drama? You do nothing. You are the eye of the hurricane. You observe the flailing, the raging, the pleading, not with cold detachment, but with a kind of profound impersonal clarity. This clarity is your superpower, and it is forged in the fires of your own shadow work. A woman who has not faced her own demons, her own neediness, her own fear of abandonment, her own capacity for manipulation, will be instantly pulled into his storm. She will feel the need to defend herself, to explain her boundaries, to soothe his manufactured pain. She will get angry, she will get hooked, she will, in essence, start pushing back against the ego, and in doing so, she gives it exactly what it wants: engagement. She proves that it has power. But you, the woman who has done the work, you recognize his performance for what it is. It is not about you. It is the predictable, almost textbook, behavior of a terrified persona fighting for its life. You see not a monster, but a scared child in a king's robes. And so you feel a kind of compassionate disinterest. You have no need to win the argument because you are not participating in one. You have no need to prove him wrong because his opinion of you is not the source of your reality. You simply hold your ground. You reiterate your truth, calmly, kindly, and without apology. I am not willing to have this kind of conversation. I understand you feel that way, but my boundary remains. I am not responsible for your emotional reaction. These are not attacks. They are statements of fact from a sovereign reality he cannot breach. Each calm refusal to engage is another crack in the foundation of his ego. He is throwing all his power at you, and it is vanishing into the void of your peace. He is screaming in a soundproof room, and the silence that greets him is the beginning of his true terror and his only hope for salvation. When the ego has exhausted its arsenal and the echo of its own rage is the only reply, something inside the man finally breaks. This is not a gentle surrender. It is a shattering. It is the sound of a great dam cracking under the silent, relentless pressure of the ocean. It is the moment the carefully constructed persona, the mask he has worn his entire life, collapses under the weight of its own falsehood. He does not decide for this to happen. It happens to him. And it is the most terrifying and liberating moment of his life. In this moment of ego death, he is left in a profound and terrifying void. Who is he without his charm, without his intellect, without his power to provoke and control? He is a ghost in his own house. The king has been dethroned, but there is no new ruler to take his place. This is the dark night of the masculine soul. He will feel a sense of utter and complete disorientation, a feeling of being psychically naked and defenseless for the first time since he was a child. He will be flooded with all the emotions his ego was built to suppress. The fear, the shame, the profound loneliness he has been running from his entire life. And what is your role in this sacred, terrifying moment of his undoing? You do not rush in to save him. You do not say, "I told you so." You do not try to put the pieces of his shattered ego back together. To do any of these things would be to rob him of the most important experience of his life. Instead, you do the one thing he secretly wants, the one thing his soul has been crying out for. You bear witness. You become the silent, unshakable container for his collapse. You hold the space. This is not a passive act. It is the most active and powerful form of love there is. Your calm presence is a silent message to his emerging true self. It is safe to fall apart. You will not be abandoned. The real you is welcome here. You are a midwife to his own rebirth. You are watching a man meet himself for the very first time, and you understand that this is a holy ground upon which you must tread with the utmost reverence. Your peace is his permission slip to finally let go. Your strength is the net that allows him to fall without fear of annihilation. In this moment, his perception of you transforms completely. You are no longer the immovable object he was fighting against. You are the immovable truth he was desperately searching for. He finally understands that your boundaries were not a rejection of him, but an invitation to a higher form of connection. Your refusal to engage with his drama was not an act of coldness, but an act of profound respect for his potential. You refused to fight the demon because you knew you were speaking to the God underneath. This excruciating, terrifying, liberating annihilation is the gift he was unconsciously begging you to give him. He didn't want you to praise his prison. He wanted you to prove that its walls were not real. And by the sheer unwavering force of your own reality, you have set him free. Out of the ashes of the ego's death, the real man begins to emerge. He is not a polished hero. He is a newborn, blinking in the unfamiliar light of his own authenticity. The connection that is forged now is not one of romance, but of resonance. It is a bond of the soul, created in the crucible of his surrender and your unwavering presence. The one thing he secretly wanted you to do was to hold up a mirror so clear and so true that it would force him to see the mask he was wearing. And now that the mask is gone, he is finally free to connect with you, not from ego to ego, but from soul to soul. This new man does not seek to control you, because he is no longer afraid of his own inner chaos. He does not need to win arguments, because his self-worth is no longer on the line. He does not crave your constant validation, because he is learning to validate himself. The desire for conquest is replaced by a yearning for collaboration. The need for a reflection is replaced by a reverence for your otherness. He is not looking for a woman to complete him, but for a woman to accompany him on the shared journey of becoming. But you must understand a crucial and final truth. The annihilation of his ego was never your goal. It was a byproduct of your own wholeness. Your mission was not to fix him, to change him, or to unlock him. Your only mission was to be so fiercely, unapologetically committed to your own truth that you became a living invitation for him to find his. You are not his savior. You are a lighthouse. You do not sail out into the stormy sea to rescue the ships. You stand on the shore, rooted in your own foundation, and you shine your light. Whether the ships choose to use your light to navigate their way to a safe harbor is their choice, not your responsibility. This is the ultimate expression of feminine power. It is not about doing, but about being. It is the understanding that the greatest gift you can give a man, the greatest gift you can give the world, is the unwavering, courageous, and beautifully selfish act of becoming yourself. You focused on building your own kingdom, and in doing so, you showed him it was possible for him to build his. The one thing he secretly wanted you to do was to love yourself so completely that it gave him the permission to do the same. And from this space of mutual sovereignty, a connection of profound depth, honesty, and true sustainable passion can finally be born. You did not unlock his ego, you unlocked his soul by first having the courage to unlock your own.